Hey guys, I'm in Pacifica near Rockaway Beach. I'm up on a hill looking down on the ocean, and it's kind of an overcast day, as you can see, so the color is pretty flat. But my goal today is to just have fun, experiment as usual, and I'm also going to try to mix some accurate colors. Gray days are good for mixing colors because you can mix them up on your palette and then use your palette knife, hold your palette knife up, compare it to the scene. I want to get the distant mountains and I want to get these cliffs in the foreground. There's not a lot of depth between these two cliffs here. I might have to add some atmosphere to this second set of cliffs and rocks here just to push it back. Okay, so I am all set up. Seems like the sun is trying to come out. I don't think it's going to be like a purely sunny day, but it is kind of peeking through the haze. But I'm all set up. Let me show you what I got. Okay, so I've got an 11 by 22 inch masonite panel that I have coated with 3 coats of gesso. Last coat has a little bit of 4F pumice in it for tooth and texture. I'm using Liquin as my medium. I've got a small brush cleaner here with odorless mineral spirits. I'm probably going to mostly be using this number 10 flat, synthetic flat. It's a Tuscan series by Utrecht, and maybe also this number 6 Tuscan series flat. My colors: titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, yellow ochre, burnt sienna. I've got a little bit of cadmium red light, and then also alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and a touch of phthalo down here. All right, so I'm happy with this composition. I've got one mass of rocks in the foreground, then a second cliff or mass of rocks in the midground, and then in the distance, the mountains and horizon. These cliffs or rocks in the foreground are going to have the most saturation and contrast. And then I'm going to artificially sort of add some atmosphere by lightening these cliffs and cooling them off a bit. So I've got ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and it's making sort of a reddish, or like, let's just say it's a very dark brown, maybe. Let's see if we added a little bit of white to it, what it would look like. It almost looks like a burnt umber, actually, when you add white to it. Maybe not quite as red as burnt umber, but definitely a very earthy tone. So I'm going to use this mixture as my dark. All right, I'm mixing color for the distant mountains. And you can see that this ultramarine blue is really needs to be grayed down quite a bit. Okay, so that's looking better there. I added some of this brown and then also a little bit of alizarin crimson. And let's take a look. All right, so that's my process on gray days when I'm mixing colors. I will typically just kind of try to eyeball it as close as possible, then hold the palette knife up to the subject, and then make whatever adjustments that I need to make. So I'm gonna just keep doing that and fill this thing in a bit. All right, the lightest light in the composition is the white water, but it's not purely white. So I've added, I've taken titanium white and I've added a little bit of purplish color from the mountains into it. And that looks pretty good. The reason I added the white water right now is because I want to key the water to the white water. In other words, the blue-green water, I want to get the values between my lightest light, which is this white water, and the blue-green water here. So by having it on the panel, then I can accurately judge what this color and value should be. All right, I've estimated a blue-green color here using ultramarine blue and some burnt sienna, and I added a little bit of alizarin to it as well. I'm always surprised at how much red is in the ocean water. All right, it's looking close, but it's a little light in value. All right, so I'm gonna add some more ultramarine to darken it up a bit. That's also gonna boost the saturation though, so I'm gonna need to add some more burnt sienna. That's definitely darker. I think there's a little more yellow, so I'm adding a little bit of yellow ochre. Okay, from where I am, this looks pretty close. All right, I've more or less covered the whole panel, and one thing I've noticed is the contrast between the white water and the aqua colored water or blue-green water is too strong. So this, the darker portion of water needs to be lighter, so I'm going to add some white to that. Also to this mountain, even though I matched the value in real life, it is too dark, so I'm going to lighten that as well. So I have lightened up the distant mountains and I've lightened up the water as well. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more definition in these cliffs here, and I'm going to probably lighten this cliff to try to push it back, being that they both seem to be kind of blending in with each other. Here's what I came up with, and I'm going to leave it here. Like I said, I tried to push this cliff back and added some more contrasting color to this cliff in the foreground. You can see the brushwork is, you know, kind of loose, energetic, but that definitely this cliff in the background is lighter and bluer. Anyway, I'm going to take this back to the studio. I will do a little studio analysis. I'll post that on my Patreon, link down below. But as usual, thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you in the next video.